off the Monday, not giving the overlay right. But sports never, ever surprises me anymore. Like Riley Cooper going out there today in spring training. Riley Cooper, big lefty, big Coop, out there shutting down the Boston Red Sox in the top of the ninth. A lot of us probably thought that, Riley Cooper is probably going to be one of those guys who's just an average college arm, gets invited to spring training for the Orioles, shuts them down. 1, 2, 3. Runners on second and third. My man comes in there, shuts him down. Kind of the Riley Cooper vibe. Looks a little bit more trim, does my guy. Playing baseball for a living will do that to you. Speaking of baseball, we got a lot to get to as LSU goes 5-0 in 7 days throughout the week. The top of their lineup with Jones, Milam, Dickinson, and Curiel completely carried what would be the 5-0 record. 5 games in 7 days, guys. 8 games in 10 days is absolutely insane. I do think at the end of the week, the Tigers got a little bit worn out here, and I understand that. I understand you getting a little worn out there. You did what you needed to do. We'll break down DBU, the weekend, and everything that we saw from there. LSU's got to hire a D-line coach. By the way, they start spring football camp this upcoming Saturday. We'll be out there a week from today. Excuse me. Pardon me. Shouldn't have done that. That was rude. But it was coming. That's what she said. We got a lot to discuss. Gerald Chapman is not going to be the next D-line coach, so we'll discuss that. Where does LSU go from now? I do expect that Randall Joyner, whose name's been thrown out there a lot today, things are getting interesting. Not in the good way if you're for LSU. Let's see if they pivot or where they go from there. But I got to start off tonight's show by saying this. I tell you this during every single coaching search. Be careful where you get your news from. Be very careful where you get your news from. So many of you are out there trying to, this guy said this. Is this true? Take things for a grain of salt. That's all I'm going to say. I say it every time. This isn't directed at anybody. I say it every single time that we go through a coaching search in any position. This is no different. So we'll get to the D-line coach. Carter Bryant joins us. You can actually fire in some questions for me and Carter throughout that show as well. I greatly appreciate it. But Carter's going to join us in about 30 minutes here as well. Let's get to a couple comments, though, before we get rolling. Philip Rose says, Blake, was Florida D-line coach Chapman on top of their list? It would feel that and seem that way. They definitely contacted him. I know we talked about that Thursday. And listen, I'm going to say this, and it's going to come off in a wrong light, in a wrong way. It's going to come off in a wrong way, in a wrong light, because I'm an LSU guy. Good on Gerald Chapman for sticking to his guns. LSU could have hired Gerald Chapman when they had the chance. By the way, Bob Diaco, not linebackers coach at North Carolina, the defensive line coach at North Carolina, I might add. So you're in a little bit of a pickle. Actually, let's just call a spade a spade. Guys, this isn't good. Sorry. It's not a good place to be for this position. So we'll touch on that as well. But, yes, Gerald Chapman was probably going to be their number one guy. You had a chance to hire him, and you didn't. Penn Jones says, I had a great time this weekend watching the Tigers play in Frisco. Met a guy Jay coached in youth ball in San Diego years ago, and Jay actually recognized him and took pics with him and his kid. That's awesome. Glad to know that Jay's a man of the people. Always been a man of the people. Tyler Townsend says, let's go from the 318. 3-1 greats in the building. Alex says, hey, Blake, watching from Corpus Christi, Texas, originally from the 318. Good to have you in here as well. Brother Bain on YouTube says, the 832 is in the building. Where is the 832? You know we got to ask it. Where is the 832? But glad that you're in here. Noah Mason says, Blake, did you see that OU is not having a spring game? I did not. Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me. Guys, tradition in college football is listen, here's the truth. I think it's soft. You're getting rid of tradition for what? What is their excuse? Like what is the excuse for not having a spring game? As Noah Mason brings up in the comments. What is the excuse here? You don't want guys to get hurt. Well, then how do you get them reps? You know, if you're in the case of Oklahoma, imagine saying that you don't want your offensive linemen to get more reps in a game-like scenario and situation. Go right on ahead. We'll see you in Norman at the end of the year. We'll see you in Norman. Guys, I think it's so soft. We've just gotten into such a bad place in college football, man. Such a bad place. Ryan Guidry says, "Hey, let it out." Well, I'll let it out. That's what she said, but I definitely will let it out. Big Mamu, Kevin Fontenot, we need to pray for our guy. Kevin Big Mamu Fontenot needs to be protected at all costs. He says, "Don't stop. Get it. Let's go. We must protect this man and his gumbo at all costs." That's all I'm going to say. No other words and context needed. We must protect this man at all costs. For those of you who know, well, you know. Shane on YouTube says, "How about Jay with the bare hand catch on the foul ball in the dugout? A man of men." Did y'all see? Yeah, I did see this. By the way, me and my wife went out to eat for our birthday this weekend. So I had a catch and rewatched from the 6th inning on before we left. Did you see? Because I watched all day Friday and Sunday. Did you see what the dugout was doing when he made the barehanded catch? Did y'all see that? They were hounding him, and Jay was trying not to crack a smile, but he did. Gotta love it. Jerry Mitchell says, "Hey, Blake, what about Juwan Johnson at quarterback? I've been saying this needed to happen." So, Jerry, this is my humble opinion. This isn't a shot at you or at Juwan Johnson. I think it's a bad move. I think it's a bad move for this reason alone. He will not play quarterback at LSU. Ever. Let me not say ever. The only way that he gets on the field at quarterback is that he's got to go bananas at running the football. We're going to be out there this spring. We're going to see him throw it around a little bit. I don't think, guys, think about this for just a moment. Think of the guys that you saw in the SEC this past year and them throwing it around. Think about it. Think of the teams that struggled and didn't have a quarterback that could throw the ball around. I don't think that it's going to work. I legitimately don't. If I were him, I would say I want to go back to Star so that I can get on the field. I don't think it's a smart move. And I think we're going to see the process of what it takes to be a quarterback in this league. Guys, the processing from what we saw from Garrett last year. Yes, from Garrett last year, from Jaden Daniels, from all of these quarterbacks. I'm not at the current moment a fan of it. Now, I'm just a talking head opinion guy, right? Like I am just a talking head. Could he make me look like a fool? Guys, if he makes me look like a fool, I would love it. I would love for him to make me look like a fool. But he's had 3 positions since July of last year. Not a rest, and he's going to have a 4th if he stays here. I don't think that he's going to push Michael Van Buren. I don't. Guys, I don't think people understand what they got in MVB. I don't. Anyway, all right, last one before we get rolling. Anthony B. Saints says A&M doing A&M things this past weekend and choking on the diamond. Yeah. Number 14 now. They hired a coach, their hitting coach. Sometimes it's difficult when you hire your friend to be the leader of a team. Maybe Schlossnagle wasn't as bad of a coach as they made him out to be. Was he? Yeah. That's either here or there. All right, let's get moving here. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all those groups. If you're on Facebook, share to all of the social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe. Do us a favor. When you're hitting that share button, tell us in the comments, where are you watching from tonight? We come back. We talk about the week of baseball. We got some defensive line stuff we need to talk about. Carter Bryant joins us at 7:35. So let's get to it. Let's got no time to waste. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events. with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by.
We're back.
All right. I always lose my pen, and I put it right back here in my cup. All right. This is what we're going to do. Let's talk to baseball weekend. We'll recap the weekend, and we'll come in at about 15 and 20 minutes from now. We'll talk a little bit about the coaching, the defensive line coaching thing. I do see Jerry says, interesting take. I will bet the house on him, though. That's because he's my son. Jerry, I'm sorry. I did not know he was your son. That is my opinion. I think he needs to move back to Star. And listen, Jerry, from the bottom of my heart, I hope that he proves me wrong. I pray to God that I get proven wrong. I don't think, based off of the offense that LSU is going to run, that they would number one, call plays that would benefit him to his strengths. I think that they're not going to give him the ability to beat out Michael Van Buren. That's the truth. And I don't know if he would beat out Michael Van Buren. This is not Jerry. If it were me, I would have begged him to move back to Star, and he would be starting today. That's what I hope. CW225 says, bro, what did you do to Cajun-nomics? Why was he on you like that? I think you might have your things wrong, your facts wrong on this, CW. I did nothing to Cajun-nomics. I did absolutely nothing. So, anyway, but that was about Juwan Johnson from Jerry. I did nothing to Cajun-nomics. Why am I getting labeled for Cajun-nomics? That was our boys over at Rage and Review. Why is everybody putting this on me? I didn't do anything. So, yeah. All right. Let's go through the weekend recap here. So, look, LSU went 5-0 this week, beating Nichols on Monday, DBU on Wednesday, and then beating Kansas State, Nebraska, and then Sam Houston in a very solid week. 5 games in 7 days It's not easy to accomplish. Being undefeated against anyone in 5 days or 5 games in 7 days isn't easy. Was LSU perfect? No. Saturday, in the beginning of the game, they were not perfect. But I look at this team as a whole through the game against DBU in the weekend. I didn't bring up nickel stats because I think that they're a horrible team. I look at you at the lineup. Let's start at you at the plate and you being in the lineup. Jared Jones, Stephen Milam, Dickinson, and Curiel, the top of your lineup, the guys that have been leading in your lineup. Jared Jones went 8 of 19. Milam went 8 of 20. Danny Dickinson, 7 of 18. And Curiel, 7 of 15. What you did at the plate, especially at the top of your lineup, was very impressive. Were there some situations where you left some guys on maybe when you shouldn't have? Maybe. But I think of Friday night or Friday early day, I guess I should say. I think of Danny Dickinson. I think of his first at bat laying down a sacrifice bunt to get a run. I think of the home run that he hit, the 3-run bomb that he hit. I think of the game on Wednesday. If you're not going to pitch to Jared Jones, who, by the way, in 4 games had 6 walks, if you're not going to deliver in that spot, then people are going to continue to walk Jared Jones. And as Jay Johnson mentioned, listen, the bottom line is people will always walk Jared Jones if nobody's behind him to pick him up. Everybody started throwing at Danny Dickinson and Jared Jones because if you put Jones on, Danny Dickinson at some point was coming through. The top half of your lineup, guys, quite frankly, Curiel on Wednesday and Curiel on Sunday got on base 10 times. 10 times in 2 games. I don't give 2 Rudy Poos who you're playing. The school of the deaf and blind. Doesn't matter who you're playing. To get on base that much in 2 games as a freshman, to have 2 games where you scored 3 runs each in those games is absolutely 100% positively amazing. Guys, and I still think that they're going to be better. I think as the season goes on and this weather warms up, I still think that this team has so much potential that they haven't even scratched the surface on yet. I love seeing the flashes and the power from Jared Jones. Didn't hit a home run this week outside of Monday, but he hit multiple doubles. He hit the ball very hard. Danny Dickinson. Guys, Danny Dickinson is arguably becoming my favorite player on this team. The way that he plays, the effort and the toughness, him at the plate, all of it. The kid's got it all. And we're going to talk about the defense in just a moment. And guys, quite frankly, it's been pretty elite. Actually, it's been very elite. And it saved you in a game on Friday when you could have not been 5-0 during the week, that you could have easily been 4-1 if the line drive out to Pearson, to Milam, to Hernandez. Doesn't happen. If you don't have amazing plays like Danny Dickinson to Stephen Milam on the flip and the absolute hose that Milam showed on the spin. But we'll get to that in a minute. There are other guys that I can include in this, and if we had more time, I would do it. But being in a situation where you have a lineup where Jones hit 421 in a week in 5 games, Milam at 400, Danny Dickinson at 389, and Curiel hitting 466 and getting on base. I would love to know, and I probably should have done this today. I would have loved to know what the OPS for Derek Curiel was this week. I should have done that, and I didn't. Did he have some freshman moments? Yeah, one of the strikeouts was not a strikeout, and I know that Ben and others. We're talking about one of the strikeouts was low at the knees and inside. The bottom line here for me is that I thought that the week that you just had was highly impressive. It definitely, even from our vantage point, and even from our vantage point, in the sense of that even outside of it, nationally, it propelled you to be in the number one overall spot. Be honest with you, having the number one overall spot, yeah, it's cool. You know, like when I saw it today, I thought that they would put Tennessee there actually. But seeing it, it's like, man, you got so much more baseball that you got to play. Doesn't matter about you and Tennessee. And I see that the Tennessee fans are arguing. You're going to be in Baton Rouge in a couple of weeks. And none of that, it's going to be a moot point because you're going to face you're going to face each other in 3 games. We're going to find out who the better team is, at least for a series. Man, this team feels a little bit different. I do love the swag that I'm seeing. I love the confidence that I'm seeing. I even love the approach. I got to be, and I know that some people don't like the approach that they're taking at the plate. I don't mind the approach. You get through this lineup once, good job. You get through them twice, well, you've had an impressive day. They are battling their asses off. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is a nightmare's row. Now, LSU's can be better. 6 through 9. You know, like Ashton Larson, I don't think had a great weekend, but you bring in Ethan Fry, and Ethan Fry hits a big bomb yesterday, and he will continue to see at bats. You're still trying to figure out what you're doing at third base. You're pretty sure that you know what you're doing behind the plate with Hernandez, who, guys, quite frankly, I thought had a great weekend. All things considered, all things told, I thought that he had a great weekend. I mean, he had a really good game on Sunday, going 3 for 5. But even behind the plate, I thought he looked pretty solid. How good can this team be? You haven't seen the level of SEC competition, and that is going to be a gauntlet unto itself. But based off of having those 5 games in 7 days against teams like Kansas State, who did beat Arkansas, against Nebraska, who is a scrappy club, not a great one, but a scrappy club, and being able to battle back. Guys, I never felt like, even though I may have been panicking, I never felt as if that the team ever, even being down 5 against Nebraska, I never felt like that they felt panic in a game. That comes with experience. That comes with Stephen Milam and Jared Jones being there and doing that. It comes with Danny Dickinson having the swag that he does. It's a very impressive week, man. Are there things that you need to clean up? Sure. Are there things that can translate, that can bite you in the ass come SEC play? Without a doubt. And some of those things, the bases loaded conundrum continues. Danny Dickinson did get a base hit, a dribbler of a base hit, I might add, when the bases were loaded and it scored 2. There are things you got to clean up. I'm with it. I get it. I'm not saying this team is perfect. I still think they're one of the top 5 teams in the SEC, not even on the SEC, but in the country. Let's talk about the pitching staff before we get to the defense, and then Carter Bryant will be joining us here in just a moment. Here's what I'd say. Pitching staff, I'm going to give them a mulligan. Guys, I'm going to stretch this thought out a little bit. 8 games in 10 days on a staff, a new staff, a young staff. It's tough. Early in the season, it's tough. There are some things left to be desired with your starting rotation. Like, for example, I don't know if Cade Anderson can give you more than 5 innings. He hasn't shown the ability to get into the 6th and really get to work. Can he pick that up? Will be a question. I think through 5 innings, though, he is very electric, but it's a question. Anthony Ianson. Listen, man, I thought Jay needed to make a move, and I was wrong. I thought, look, good for Jay, knowing the kid that he had and knowing the situation. I thought he should have pulled Anthony Ianson. Striking out 7 of the last 8 guys you face is impressive, and I was wrong. He needs to get the ball down, though, because you can get away with some of this stuff against Kansas State. You can get away with some of this stuff against Nebraska. You can get away with some of the stuff against Omaha. You ain't getting away with it. I don't care what y'all think about A&M right now, because I do think A&M will start clicking as the season goes on. You can't get away with it against Tennessee. You can't get away with it against Texas. Some of these teams you do that to, they will pounce on you quickly. But I don't think the starting rotation is finished. I really am wondering what you do with a guy like Connor Ware. I don't think Connor Ware is going to be pitching in the midweek much longer, if at all. You need Connor Ware. You need Connor Ware during the weekends when you get in the SEC. There's no reason to pitch him in the midweek. See what he's got against better competition here. All things considered, though, 8 games in 10 days. Mulligan, you did some great things. You did some bad things. You did some okay things. I thought there were moments that you showed that, okay, well, this team can really get you and push you and deliver for you when you need to. Kason Evans being a big part of that. Connor Benj, for what it's worth. Guys, Connor Benj was saw 3 times in a week. Sunday to Sunday, he was seen 3 times in a week. So I'm glad that they'll have a couple of days off and be able to get their feet up under them and get a little bit of rest. You're back home. You get back in your own bed. It is what it is. You know how different that can be. I thought all in all, though, man, I thought they were solid. Things can and need to be better, but I thought they were solid. But one thing is for sure. Defensively, this team is really good defensively. I know some people were talking about Braswell at third. Like, what has Braswell done at third to question anything about it right now? I thought he's been solid. But, man, what you can do in the outfield with the speed that you have with Curiel, Stanfield, what Danny Dickinson alone did at second base this week. Guys, that's defensively, they've played pretty elite. Defensively, they won you a game. Actually, no, they won you a game. They prevented you from losing, that's for sure, but they definitely won you a game. Line drive in left field, Kason Evans. Josh Pearson, who I have not brought up yet for a reason, because it's going to be the last thing I talk about. Josh Pearson to Steven Milam to Luis Hernandez. Bang, boom, ka-ching. This team's got swag, man. And I love the way that they're playing defensively. I think Luis Hernandez has been really good behind the plate for what it's worth. He's managed his staff really good too. The 4-6-3 play, the flip to Milam. I wish there was better camera angles. You do as well. But that is elite shit. Diving to your right, diving to your left is Danny Dickinson. Chris Stanfield making the plays in center field. Derek Curiel making the plays in left field. Josh Pearson making the plays that he has. Elite stuff. This is the second time, by the way, this season that you've seen an outfielder like Josh Pearson make a play like that. He did it against Nichols, if you remember. Which brings me to the last thing before we get to Carter Bryant. Experience in college baseball matters big time. Josh Pearson, man, I love Josh Pearson. He is everything that you want in a ball player. He had a hell of a weekend, defensively and offensively. Saturday, without him, you lose. Friday, without him, you lose. He delivered for you when you needed him the most. He did that in Omaha a couple of seasons ago. It's going to be interesting to see how that outfield shakes out, man. It's going to be interesting to see how Jay puts this all together. But, man, they got a deep squad. It's going to be fun to watch. So we'll get back out here in the midweek. All in all, I thought was highly, highly impressive. Okay. Before we get to Carter Bryant, I want to say this, and then we're getting to him. We got to go to him now. Gerald Chapman turned down LSU's coaching job for the defensive line. Here's the statement that I'll make on it. You could have hired him a couple of years back when Jamar Cain left. You didn't. You moved on, and it bit you in the ass. Bo Davis did not do enough for you to say that the hire was good. Wasn't a home run hire based off of the reality of what happened during it. Me and Carter are about to talk about this, but we got a problem that we got to address. All right, let's get to it here. Let me get to a quick break. When we come back, Carter Bryant joins us next. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with a great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. Carter, I can't even start off tonight's show joyous and say, Carter, the power Bryant. We got a lot we got to discuss, man. How are you?
Oh, man, it's off season, Blake. There's not a whole lot to discuss. I'm trying to figure out.
Is there really a thing? Carter, spring football starts on Saturday.
Yeah,
is there really an off season?
I'll be honest. My biggest concern, do you think the ACC will exist?
Yes.
So what's your prediction? Give me your honest prediction on Florida State Clemson.
We didn't get to talk about this on Ruffino and Joe, but here I got the notes here because we just got done. We're gonna discuss it on Wednesday. We just didn't have time to today.
Okay.
Carter, Clemson and Florida State don't have $200 million right now to leave. I do think tomorrow there's going to be renegotiations that happen where they get paid more than some other ACC teams. Okay. So for that being said, I do think that they're going to stay for the current moment. The question will become, do they leave in 2029, 2030 when it's $100 million? But hold on. Mike Norvell, okay? God forbid Mike Norvell goes 6-6, 5-7, 2-10 again. Florida State might have to pay him $50 million to not coach. And then you got to go get another coach. The thing that I don't think people understand right now is as long as they have Clemson, North Carolina, Duke, and Florida State, they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
So, no, this isn't a Pac-12 scenario because, unfortunately, the Pac-12, if you remember, could not get a TV deal with anybody.
Anybody. Well, they played their cards wrong.
They did.
Right.
They're still making $25 million in the ACC. So, for that part, I would just say that $25 million per team, I should say. The thing that I would put there is, Carter, is if you're making that level of money, even though lower than the other two, unless you're going to spend that level of money, you ain't going nowhere, big dog.
Yeah, I hope they stay put. Like, I don't want, even if they are joining the SEC or wherever, I'm perfectly fine with the ACC remaining the ACCs. But yeah, I'm trying to read. all these GORs and it's not why I got into college football. Huh?
Well, here's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up in a nutshell for the ACC.
Right.
Clemson and Florida State cannot afford $200 million for
No.
both of them. By the way, let's say for argument's sake, just for argument's sake, that both of those teams actually do pay it and do leave. And you have $400 million to play with. No team in any conference. You talk about desperation. One of these big teams will get plucked.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm Vanderbilt.
You know what they would do? Let me tell you what they do. Notre Dame, when it comes to other sports, plays in the ACC.
Yes.
They'd offer $400 million to Notre Dame.
Yeah. And I could see Notre Dame even taking less than that, and you get a bigger brand than both those schools. I would be very careful if I'm Florida State and Clemson for that reason. I mean, Florida State might be terrible yet again. I mean, what if Dabo retires? I mean, does that change anything for Clemson? Probably not as much.
Jesus said never to retire. He ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, it's written. But good to be with you again, Blake. I'm excited. Spring football's around the corner. I wouldn't panic too much about the next defensive line coach at LSU. I don't think there's really a rush or a need. I mean, this isn't something this isn't something that happens right before signing day, if you will. But I heard you talking about Chapman staying at Florida. It was interesting.
So let's go to Bo Davis. I guess let me ask you this question first. Carter, I mean, it was a home run hire when you made it, but it's not a home run hire in reality because it didn't amount to anything.
Nothing. Yeah.
Will the room stay together now that he's left?
There's going to be people that definitely leave, right? Especially if you sign 4 guys straight out of high school, and then obviously Mitchell transfers over. He'll probably stick around, but Bo has a close relationship with every high school kid that he recruits. So it is a little bit of a tighter relationship than your normal position coach with player. So yeah, you'll lose at least one, if not more, of those freshmen that just entered. And that'll sting some, Blake. But honestly, there's really not a whole lot that I could think about other than paying a guy $1.25 million a year to coach defensive tackles. I keep going back to, is it even worth any defensive tackle coach making that much money? I'll ask you that question.
In certain scenarios, yes. Let me tell you why. You have had, and I'm putting, because people tell me that the edge isn't your defensive line. Are you an idiot? I will humor you and just say defensive line coaches. This is going to be the 8th defensive line coach that you've had in 5 years since 2020. 8. Now, there's a scenario where you don't find somebody and you go through spring football without one or during it. That means that somebody's taking over that room, which would technically make it 9. Carter, because of the overturn for me that you've had at that position, and considering what we'll talk about here tonight, some of the reasons that you've been losing these big high-profile games, I would pay whatever it takes because you got to get consistency in that room or you're going to continue to lose.
Right. No, I'm with you. I mean, look, I feel for Jacoby and Guillory, who's on a 6th defensive line coach in 6 years. I didn't think I'd ever see that. But it's also one of those things, Blake, where it's... And
if you really want to be technical, Ed coach D-line.
Right. And that doesn't include the assistant defensive line coaches, Coach Hill, who's with the Vikings, I believe. There's been so many new faces, and it's not been a position of strength at LSU. I'm not saying there haven't been good DTs, obviously like Makai Wingo, but it's not been a deep position. It's not been a position that's been developed the best. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. And to your point, I think it's because there's been such a heavy rotating door there. So you do need to go find someone. But at this point, Blake, what would you like Randall Joyner at Ole Miss? Would you like Al Davis at Missouri?
I don't think he comes here. I don't think Randall Joyner comes here.
I don't either.
No sourcing, just opinion.
Yeah, I don't think he does either. I mean, the guy had the best defensive line in the country last year. So I really don't know. I've not heard anything other than Chapman, exactly what you said a minute ago, that, you know, it is tough to go back to a school that didn't want you in the first place. I know that's exactly what happened with Corey Raymond, but it's tough when you're at another SEC school. And obviously Chapman has a really good defensive line in Florida going into this next year. So I understood his reasoning for staying as well. But overall,
I don't know where they go. Yeah, I mean, there have been some justifications about, well, Eric Henderson at USC makes, he's the highest paid. No, he's not. There have been a lot of talks that he's making $2 million a year. No, he's not. He's the reason you don't have it is because USC is a private institution. Here's the truth. There's a strong likelihood. I'm spitballing an opinion here. None of this is what I'm about to say is strictly opinion. You're about to spend close from 15 to 18 to probably $20 million on a roster with TV revenue share and NIL. Okay? You going to spare any expense at the worst thing that you've done, and that being the defensive line? You're going to spare expense now. I don't think that there's any amount of money, considering how bad of a rotating door that you've been there, that I would not get. Gerald Chapman didn't come here because of money. Gerald Chapman didn't come here because he was pissed off at you, and he took it to you a year ago. He 100% with Caleb Banks, who, by the way, hot take, is going to be probably the best interior defensive lineman if he continues to play the way he's playing in the SEC. Yes, I said it. Listen, man, Carter, I'm sorry. For this position group, I am fed up. I'm at my wit's end because you're not going to win a damn thing. Nowhere close to relevance to where you want to be until that room gets better. Nowhere. Think about this. I said it last week, but I'll get your opinion. LSU defensively, since Brian Kelly has been here, and every SEC loss is giving up 257.88 yards per game on the ground. I did the math myself. Only one of them were below 200. Only one.
We've not had good rush defenses. No matter who the DC has been. It's a fact.
Since Durante Jones, but that's a whole different topic for a different day. They held a national championship going team to 6 yards rushing. That's a big deal. Let's not act like it's not. But Carter, you have been horrendous in your front seven, specifically your front four and run defense. So yes, there is no rock that I'm not overturning, because you got to have consistency here. So even the Al Davis thing, the defensive line coach at Mizzou, for me, it's as risky a hire as you can make, because what if, let's say he comes in here and does a great job this year. Great. That's awesome. Tulane opens up and Blake Baker goes. Where's Al Davis going to be? Brian Kelly's got to.
But wouldn't that be the case basically for any defensive line coach you would hire?
No, no, because if you go and get Eric Henderson and you put a massive buyout on it, NFL and it being college, no, it prolongs teams from plucking. Can we get 2 years at a defensive line coach?
Yeah, and that's what LSU thought that they had with Bo Davis, right?
Right.
He makes let's be honest, Texas to LSU, those are similar programs. And they paid up for him. I thought they would have him for the duration, the Brian Kelly tenure. So, Blake, the only thing I would say is I just think whoever you hire, it's always just going to be volatile at pretty much every position group. And I do think it's just been some bad luck when it comes to LSU and some of their defensive line coach hires. I mean, what would you have taken the Saints job if you're Bo Davis?
If being in his position, yes.
Yes.
Considering that he only has to coach in the NFL for 2 years to get a full NFL pension, yes.
Yes. And to get a
hold on. I don't blame the Saints. I don't blame Kellen Moore. I came out here and said, listen, they identified the guy that they wanted and they got him. Why would I be mad about that?
Right. So I'm interested to see where they go. But obviously there's bigger issues, I think, with LSU than just that, right?
You think there's bigger issues than the defensive line?
Than finding a defensive line.
What are they?
It's figuring out how your secondary is going to line up. I still think that's just the biggest thing defensively, because no matter who the new defensive tackles coach will be, I feel decent that Dominic McKinley, Ahmad Bro, Jacobian Guillory, Sadir Mitchell, and those guys, I think they'll be fine. I don't know of a safety option at this point for LSU that I know a gazillion % is going to be one of your 2 starting safeties going into next year. So you still have that hurdle to clear. And I think, honestly, it's a bigger hurdle than figuring out who your defensive line coach is going to be.
Games won up front.
I'm not disagreeing with you. But I will say at least LSU's defensive line play last year was good. I cannot say that about the safety play at all, really.
Was it good? Was it good outside of Braden Swinson? Because I don't think it was.
What, LSU's defensive line play?
Uh-huh.
I mean, Savion Jones had some good games, but overall, I felt that the defensive
was it LSU quality?
Well, don't take this the wrong way. In recent years, yes.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it was. I'm not going to say it was Glenn Dorsey, but yes, LSU's defensive tackle room. It's not as bad as it was last year. I feel better about it going into next year than I did last year, which was the talking point pretty much every week with that team.
Carter, we're moving 2 defensive ends to defensive tackles, and they're starting and rotating because we don't have guys that are good enough to play that position right now.
And who are those ends?
It was Parashand and it was Ahmad Bro.
Yes, last year, but not now. But
I am not confident Sadir Mitchell stays. That's number one. I'm not confident in that, and I'm not confident that you can develop a 5-star level kid into where you need to be to make a playoff. You have not. Why would I go through an 8-year or a 5-year span with 8 different coaches to think that anything will change?
Oh, but I will say I'm still very concerned about it. I'm just I can't quit thinking about the LSU secondary, even with all the transfers that are coming in.
You're right. You're right. I can't say that the safety room is not a big deal because it's a massive deal. Look, man.
It's all a problem. I mean, it's a mess. It's a mess right now. The LSU defense during the spring, it's going to be interesting to say the least.
That's why I keep saying it's the biggest spring that we've ever had.
Yeah, and I think as far as spring is concerned, I'm just interested to see where everyone's going to just be lined up, because obviously if Perk is going to be running with the ones at the Star in the fall, if he's going to be ready by then, are you going to be working to Marcus Cooley as one of your traditional safeties instead of potentially a nickel star kind of role? I mean, all of that's going to be interesting over the next couple of weeks. So I'm fascinated, but I'm also going to remain calm about it as well, because there's just so much that can change from now until then. How
does how I want to say, how does Deshaun Spears look in year 2? Like that, I think that I haven't mentioned Deshaun Spears at all.
Yeah, let's talk about him. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know what to say about him because I mean, like, is that what we saw last year's floor? And what happens when he doesn't rotate in? They clearly thought that he wasn't good enough to play last year as a freshman.
Yeah.
Which I mean, Jordan Gilbert, God bless him. I mean, he had rotator cuff surgery again this offseason.
Yes.
I mean, he couldn't raise his arms above his head, and we were saying that he was the best option that we had when he was hurt. So I'm with you. I look, man, Blake Baker got a lot of questions he got to answer. Like I've said before, I feel like I know at least somewhat of the rotation you get at receiver.
Absolutely.
I don't know what your 5 offensive linemen are going to be, even though Carius Kern, did you see the Snapchat of Carius Kern?
No, I didn't.
Carius Kern posted on Snapchat that he benched 225 39 times.
Oh, dang. Where would that have put him in the NFL Combine?
He would have beat it. He would have won it. By the way, he's 18.
I thought I saw someone do like something ridiculous.
Oh,
like
maybe. Well, I saw the clip, but that was from a guy in 2008.
Oh, okay. So that was an old clip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I didn't watch the combine. Maybe I'm wrong. But if somebody can bean count me, I mean, it would be close to winning the whole thing. But here's the thing, though. He's 18.
No, I'm with you. I'm a huge, like I said last time, I'm a huge Carius Kern believer.
So I know the guys that you'll have the offensive line. I know the guys you'll have at quarterback, tight end, and running back. Question is that I don't know if you're ready defensively. I don't. I think that there's a chance, secondary-wise, corner-wise, I think you're going to lock them down early. Here's how I take. I think these corners are going to lock them. I think Mansour, Delane, and the boys are going to lock them down early. But, man, I think they're going to get the ball run all over them. And against a team in their own team that can't run the football.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Clemson is just a really tough match. I mean, this is going to be the best offense Dabo's had since 2019. So it's going to be a problem, Blake, projecting this team and how they'll match up with Clemson, because right now Clemson at home offensively, they look pretty good with Cade Klubnik going into next year. So I'm really excited to see who's going to, come forth with this LSU defensive line.
How are we a year to date in the same spot?
What do you mean?
Don't know who's going to replace, or don't know what you're going to do, who's going to be the guide receiver. You don't really know how the interior offensive line is going to look. You have some running back shakeup. Josh Williams this time isn't there to save you. You don't necessarily completely know what you're going to look at linebacker. Harold Perkins is back. What does he look like in a new role? You have 4 guys from your DB room that came from the portal, so you've never seen him play in the SEC. Carter, I literally feel like I've had the same exact discussion back-to-back years. Yeah. I literally feel like my life, for what it's worth, I feel like it's on rewind.
No, I'm with you, Blake. And look, I keep going back to this. Brian Kelly's got to do a better job. I mean, it's just that simple. As far as getting this team ready to go, it's one of those things, Blake, where one kind of undertold story is Joe Sloan's going to be back. He's got to do a better job. I mean, that's probably, to me, the biggest question mark of this entire team. And, Wilson Alexander tweeted out, the quote about Jawan Johnson, dual threat quarterback. What's going to happen with that? And it's another story. Do you put in more snaps with a faster quarterback? Do you include that to maybe get the run game going? I don't know. But honestly, Blake, the good thing is with all these question marks that we have with LSU, there's all kind of question marks with all these other SEC teams. And I tune in to some of the other team-specific shows like our own, And they're kind of doing the same thing, right? With this portal era, there's all this uncertainty with all these new guys coming in. So while LSU has a lot of question marks, and you and I have both kind of tempered down some of these national media expectations of LSU being a playoff lock that a lot of the national media said, there's a lot of questions with there's a lot of questions with quite a few teams. Let's take South Carolina, for instance, right? That's a team that a lot of people are going to be high on going into next year. Lenore Sellers, getting all those crazy comparisons, potential first-round pick next year. And then obviously their pass rusher, Stewart, and those guys. But they lost Dow Loggins, the talisman of that offense. They lost Raheem Rocket Sanders. They're by far their best running back, who was phenomenal for them last year. So while we in the chat and whoever talks about all these different holes, guess what? There's plenty of other SEC teams that are going through this as well.
Here's the bottom line, though. I know Lenore Sellers can run all over your ass.
Yeah, but South Carolina fans would say, hey, we had arguably the best safety at our school since DJ Swearinger, and
it's indebatable. He's the
he's
best safety in the country. Eamon Warrior was the best safety in the country. If you listen to show, you would have heard.
No, I'm with you. He's great. And you had him last year, and Garrett Nussmeier still threw all over you. Now, he did have a good interception versus him late in the game. But that's what South Carolina fans are saying to themselves right now about LSU. While we couldn't stop their run, they couldn't stop Garrett Nussmeier, and the Scherzo couldn't stop Aaron Anderson. And that was with
we would not have said that if that pick six didn't get a flag on it.
No, I would have said it because Garrett Nussmeier still lit him up. It didn't change the fact that he threw that bad interception, but he still picked them apart. And that was with them getting good pass rush.
You think a guy with 3 turnovers in a game picked somebody apart?
Yeah, he threw for a gazillion yards in that game.
Does throwing for yards mean anything when you can't score from the 1 yard line? Like, I'm not trying to get on.
No, but
here's the thing. I think the narrative is on Nuss, though. He can throw for 5,000 yards. If he's turning the ball over that much, it doesn't mean shit.
Yeah, but Blake,
having 3
had by far the most dropbacks, most pass attempts, most 3rd and longs than any other quarterback in the SEC.
And that justifies turnovers.
I'm not saying it does, but
no, it doesn't.
It's just what he has to do on a snap-to-snap basis is just so much harder than, to me, most of the quarterbacks, if not all the quarterbacks in the SEC, because he had a first-year P4 play caller, and he had no running game to work with. And I understand you're more critical of Garrett Nussmeier. I defend Garrett. I'm
critical of the turnovers. I'm not critical of Garrett, but I just don't think picking him apart.
Though, I will be the first to tell you the A&M game was the worst turnovers I've ever seen from an LSU quarterback, probably since Jared Lee. Right? It was terrible. Garrett Nussmeier deserves most of the blame that went on in that game, along with obviously not being able to stop Marcel Reed. But in that South Carolina game, that game was just hostile. Just a hole that he had to dig us out of. Some of the most ridiculous throws. Some of the most ridiculous throws you will ever see an LSU quarterback make.
That also doesn't stop Lenore Sellers going out at halftime. It doesn't stop that there was a bad pick six flag. It doesn't stop that he ran for 100 net yards on you, which was my original point, that I know that he can run all over you. And he can and he will if you allow him to. Carter, you have, again, this isn't a 1 year sample size that I mentioned, the 255 or 257.88 rush yards you're giving up on the ground.
Yeah.
They can get worried about it, but here's the truth. I don't care what they think that they know. I know my team, and here's the truth about our team. You have not shown that you can do shit against better opponents when it comes to defending the run.
I'm with you. And
they ain't got shit to do with Garrett. I mean, like they.
Oh no. That's my overall point. Is Garrett got this team along with some others. I'm not saying he was not the only good player on this entire team, but as much as we want to point to the interceptions and turnovers that happened in that South Carolina game, the throws that he made to get us even in the realm of winning that game were insane. They're absolutely absurd throws to Aaron Anderson.
This is what happens, though, that when we get in these discussions, I get blasted. So I don't come out here.
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here to.
He did not. When you. Here's the truth.
Did Garrett Nussmeier win the game versus South Carolina? Yes or no?
No.
Yes,
he did. No,
yes,
Lenore Sellers going out at halftime won you the game.
Yes.
They did not get past the 50-yard line once in the second half.
I'm with you. And I've talked about Brian Kelly having a lot of quarterback injury luck during the course of his career. Okay. LSU does not win that game if that doesn't happen. Okay.
Exactly. They do not win it.
But despite heavy pressure, Garrett still threw some of the most ridiculous throws, in particular to Aaron Anderson in that game. Did he turn the football over? Yes. But the fact that he was in so many third and Ponchatoula's, third and New Orleans, third and Rustin's, third and longs, he kept making play after play after play. And, that's what he did with a first-year play caller and a running back that emerged, obviously Caden Durham in that game. So I understand he threw that pick at the end. Was he very lucky that there was a turn?
How we can well, here's two things. Number one, how I can be so hated by a fan base about talking about the reality of a situation is crazy to me. We picked apart Hoomst. Like, all I'm saying is that he did not have a great game that game. And I say you can't.
He made bad mistakes that game.
Carter,
but to say that
here is a truth.
Have a great
Anybody
game,
that has 3 turnovers in a game, whether you want to fight semantics over an adjective or not, is not great. Sorry, it is not. I don't care who you are. I don't care what we know about football. Anybody turns the ball over 3 times in a game, it is not great. Can we agree with that? It's not great.
It just depends on your
You can have great you can have great moments. Like the throws that you're talking about, those are great moments. Okay. You can't say it's a great game when you have that. We can fight over the adjective, but it's the truth. So again, to the best point of where what you're trying to say is that Garrett can get us out of those situations. Nobody is saving us from 257.88. Now, I'm getting labeled negative in the chat right now, which is okay.
Yeah.
You can't argue with you getting your asses whooped along the defensive line. And I promise you this, don't fix it and watch what happens. I've been doing this a long time. I've been around football a long time. Garrett's help or not does not stop you giving up 2 75-yard runs with 4 of the 5 offensive linemen coming back in South Carolina. It doesn't.
I'm with you. I mean, I'm with you with the Sellers taking another step, but we'll see. Obviously, with Garrett, there's a lot that needs to get worked on, but with the defensive line, I'm with you as well. You got to be able to stop the dual threat quarterbacks. That's going to be the big question. Reed's back. Obviously, I mean, is Marcel Reed even going to be the quarterback at A&M next year?
I don't know. They brought in that Zeno kid. I think it will be Marcel Reed. But again, here's where I'm going to be right. Let me tell you where I'm going to be right. I will take the heat right now. On defensive line, Blake's so negative, Portal King, whatever. They did a great job in the portal. Why did they have to do that great of a job in the portal? Why? What if I'm wrong and they missed? What if Sadir Mitchell doesn't want to be here? What if Don McKinley doesn't want to be here? What if you're going to have injury there? There are so many questions. There are so many questions that, look, this isn't even a Brian Kelly or Garrett Nussmeier anything thing. This is that even a James Daniels could not be great enough, even though he was great, to get you above 9-3. And he was the best player that we had probably seen since Burrow, if it's just being all told.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's debatable.
I'm talking about college football.
I'm with you.
Right.
With you.
I mean, like, even he could not be great enough. And I can get kicked in the chat all that they want to. But there are massive holes and weaknesses, not just offensively and defensively. It's all over the place that you got to get questions to. You go right on ahead and not listen. The guy at Tennessee, Todd Bates. I'd go give Todd Bates $1.25 million right now and beg him to come. You have to make it. You have to make a choice here.
So you want to go big game hunting for another?
Oh, you know what I said on Thursday? Let me get your thought on this. I'll get you out of here on this. I'm offering Larry Johnson $2 million a year with a $5 million buyout. I'm going to make him the highest paid defensive line coach in the country. I'm going to make him I'm going to make him also an assistant to the head coach on the defensive side of things. Make Frank offense, Larry Johnson defense. I'm going to give him $2 million because here's the truth. I just saw a coordinator with the number 1 overall defense in the country, and Todd Bowles, literally just get paid $3.5 million. I am giving him that because then you get sustained. You know what else I'm doing? I'm giving him $15 million over the next 2 years to go get a defensive line and fix it.
Yeah, but okay. I'm pro doing the Larry Johnson thing, but what do you think about, part of the reason why one of my Ohio State guys told me this. Part of the reason why Knowles left is because of Larry.
It is
with the scheme. So if you do that and you give him that much money, I mean, he's going to want a say-so on how the defense is going to be run. Obviously,
can I just be real with you? It just won a team a national title.
Yeah, but
Carter, he's going to have 4 defensive linemen that will be drafted in the first 100 picks, first 150 picks. He's going to have 4 defensive linemen drafted again. By the way, 3 years ago, he had 3.
I'm not denying that. And
2 years ago, he had 2. I mean, Carter, they are putting at minimum 2 guys in the league per year. So I got to be real. Jim knows it is what it is. They can make that excuse all they want to. But at the end of the day, who won out? And the reason he won out is because watch what's going to happen with our D-line this year. Oh, buddy, they're going to get after your ass.
I don't know anything about their D-line this year. I don't.
You're asking me what I would do now. What would you do?
Okay. I don't know at this point. I would do the opposite. Actually, I wouldn't overpay for any defensive line coach. I think that money could be used elsewhere. I think there's plenty of people that would come in and want to be a defensive tackles coach at LSU for $600,000, $700K. And those hundreds of thousands of dollars could be used to supplement whoever's coming in with the talent needed to succeed at that position. And then if you don't feel comfortable with anyone, I wouldn't totally be opposed. It's not what I would do, but I wouldn't totally be opposed of just Kevin Peoples being the defensive line coach.
Period. I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can do that. Why would you be okay with it? I'll go with you for. Why do you think I don't think you could do that. Why would you be okay with it?
It's not what I would do, but if you don't, I wouldn't just go force someone in there just for the sake of it.
Carter, they don't have the analysts to do that right now. And listen, you would have to go hire 2, 3, 4 analysts. Brother, you'd have to hire at minimum 2. They got what? Let's see. 8 in the DT room. They have 16 players. They have a quarter of your team. He can't be all at all of them with once.
Yeah, that would be my last ditch thing, but I don't think it'd be like the be all end all. Like I
run.
bring him back. Blake, it was great. And we will talk soon, my brother.
Thank you. I'm sorry I keep you late as always. See you, buddy.
Cheers.
All right, there's Carter the Power Bryant. Anyway, I know y'all are hating me in the chat. I know you think I hate. It's getting tired. I didn't bring up by the way, I did not bring up the Garrett conversation. Anyway. All right. We're getting out of here. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.